Welcome to episode 213 of Empty the Bench of the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. That's Albano. I'm Nick Morgasen. Follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at ETB Sports. Follow us on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure you follow our website, etbpodcast.com, for all the latest on blogs and other information on our streams and our live streams coming up over the next couple weeks. If you want to listen to us on the audio platforms and you don't want to look at my ugly Santa hat, then make sure you go check out all our podcasting platforms as well. Well, but you can check us out on Acast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Odyssey, all the platforms. We're available on there. All right. Before we get into everything, this is the last episode of the year. Holy cow.
Oh my gosh. This is it? This is
yes.
2023? Oh, man.
But I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to disappoint.
No. So, in typical ETV network fashion, it's going to be deja vu like last year, where December is basically going to be filled with headlines for ETV Sports. And in typical ETV network fashion, of course, right before we start recording, major news happens. So, I'm just going to run down basically what I know we're going to talk about, because, I mean, we have some other stuff too, but I don't know if we'll get to it, considering as of the time we're recording this, breaking news that Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely by the National Basketball Association.
Geez, shocker. Haven't heard that one before.
But it's an indefinite suspension. So I don't know how long he's actually going to be out.
Again, geez, shocker.
And then, of course, we're going to talk about this report that's been making it's not a confirmation, but it comes from Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston, who is a very credible source.
Very credible source.
And The Score, who, I love their platform. They followed up with that. It seems like we might actually, we've debated about it on Football Friday and on all these sports shows, but we may actually be at the end of the Bill Belichick era. At the end of the season, this might actually be it.
Yeah, I mean, this is massive news. Obviously, 20-year history, amazing 20-year history with Patriots 6 rings, an incredible dynasty up there with like the Celtics and the Yankees, and just incredible run for a franchise that had Tom Brady, Bill Belichick as a duo. Mm-hmm. But Bill Belichick, the mastermind behind the plans of the operation.
Yeah, well, clearly without Tom Brady, things have just gone completely south over there. There are other things I would like to talk about. That Mahomes outburst. We will talk about Thursday Night Football. Of course, we got to give our pick for this Week 15 matchup between the Chargers and Raiders, which I don't even know how many stars are going to be playing at this game as of the time of recording, because...
Hey, by the time this episode is over, there might be another player or two injured.
Yeah. All right. But let's talk about the big news. We had a breaking news live stream about this when it dropped on this past Saturday. But for those who, didn't tune into that, we'll recap some of that here and talk about some new details that have come out since then. Shohei Ohtani has signed a record contract, 10 years, $700 million deal with the Dodgers. It is the richest contract in the history of professional sports. That at least it's believed to be. It tops the $550 Messi got, I want to say a couple of years ago.
$550. Yep.
Yeah. However, here's where the kicker comes in. I would like to congratulate our crosstown rivals, Nick, the New York Mets. You guys are officially off the hook. Bobby Bonilla Day it will be nothing once Shohei Ohtani Day comes in, because
this is nuts.
This is going to earn just $2 million each year over the course of the 10 years of the contract. And then the other $680 million of that contract is going to be paid out to him over another 10-year period of time between 2034 and 2043.
Holy cow! And by the way, before people jump off a cliff and lose their minds, the collective bargaining agreement, which was agreed upon between the players and the owners, There's no rule against deferring 80% or more of the contract.
The CBA says it can be an unlimited amount.
Now, the exact number? 97% has been deferred by the Dodgers until 2034. Now, let's talk about this. Is a strategy that has been used by the Dodgers before, and
They have it right now.
they've done it.
Mookie
Yeah, they've done it with Mookie. They've
Freeman,
done it.
too.
Yeah, and they've done it with all their stars, and it pays off for them because they have more money that they can go out and spend. Now, let's be careful. It doesn't mean that it's not on their cap and it's not on their books. It's just pushed much further out into the future.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard time for the Dodgers once the $68 million a year actually kicks in. But as you kind of alluded to, Ohtani is doing this, and they're doing this as a means of trying to get other stars. I mean, right now the Dodgers are in just as advanced talks as the Yankees about Yamamoto.
And by the way, they're talking about Yamamoto at $300 million plus at like the beginning of this negotiating period. I mean, I heard that they had their meeting, I think at the beginning of earlier this week at the beginning, and apparently Freeman and Betts and Ohtani were all at that meeting. Oops.
Yeah, that's why I was so confident that the Yankees were going to get him. Like, now after this, I don't know about that now.
By the way, if that happens, we're talking about $1 billion being spent by the Dodgers in the offseason. $1 billion!
$1 billion.
And I thought the Yankees spent a lot of money back in the day. But this $1 billion?
Yeah, no, Nick, we talked about it on the live stream. They're good looking at like a $250 million payroll for 2024.
And all these years when we were younger Yankee fans, we didn't know anything different than the Yankees being the highest payroll in sports every year. Whether they were shitty or not shitty, they were always the highest payroll in sports.
Well, the Dodgers and Mets have now basically taken over in that regard. Not to say that the Yankees' payroll isn't big in itself, just saying that they've been taken over for the top. Now, the difference here, Nick, is that the Mets last year, in spite of everything bad that happened with the Yankees, the Mets last year, with all their payroll, somehow managed to do worse than the Yankees. So
Which
the Dodgers,
I didn't think was possible.
But so the Dodgers, you can't screw up at this point. And honestly, with a team like Betts and Freeman and Ohtani, like this is a monster kind of lineup. They need the pitching now. They need the pitching, which is why they're probably being aggressive with Yamamoto.
Well, they're also in advanced talks for Glass now, also with Tampa.
They're trying to trade, right? They're trying to trade with the Rays for Glass.
First of all, that would be unfair if they landed Yamamoto or even Glass now, and they got Ohtani. They're not a bad lineup either. Like, the hitting is not their issue. It's the pitching that's their massive issue. But this would just be unfair. Like, if they got Yamamoto or Glass now, and their pitching rotation is in shambles. Clayton Kershaw is nowhere near what he used to be as an ace.
I said on the live stream, I think if the Dodgers, with the signing of Ohtani, and if they get Yamamoto or trade for Glass now, I'm basically telling you, I think 2024 is the last year we're going to be seeing Clayton Kershaw in a Dodger uniform. Now, whether he retires after that or he tries one more year with another team, I can't tell you what Clayton Kershaw is thinking at this point. Considering, Nick, at this point now, the Dodgers have a 10-year window. They've got to open. They got it while it's open. They got to take advantage.
God.
I was saying that they got to win a World Series at this point.
Well, okay. So now you're leading into what I was going to say, which one we're going to do this for the first time in a while. It's not a crazy hot take, but
all right. What if I dip the word crazy? What if we just did Nick's hot take?
Okay. They got to win 2 or 3 World Series at least in the 10 years.
I don't even think that's that hot of a take.
To be honest, they really need to win 3 or 4 to justify that contract.
Okay, that's a bit of a hot take.
They have to. It's $700 million.
I understand.
On one player.
I understand. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of it's hard to repeat in baseball as
I'm
a
not,
World
and I'm
Series
not
champion.
disagreeing with you. You're
And,
totally right.
right, and because Nick, I guarantee by the end of this decade, they're gonna do the expansion to 16 teams. I guarantee you, Manfred's gonna do it.
Manfred needs to shut the bleep up and stop destroying the sport. Number one, but they got to win. Scratch by 2 or 3. They got to win 3 or 4 to justify that 700 million. Because I'm
But see,
tired of hearing. I'm tired of hearing. Oh, the Dodgers are this. They're the great team. They get all the great players. You won a COVID shortened World Series in 2020. I don't even count that one, to be honest.
what's funny? I mean, I disagree with you on that, but what's funny, Nick, is that that goes along with the same conversation that we had about the Braves once they got eliminated in the division series. They the difference is the Braves have won a World Series before. So I
Right.
mean, you got to give that credit. But we just talked about with the Braves that they were a 100+ win team this season. They got eliminated in the division series, and it's kind of a collapse on their fault. At least with the Orioles, I get it. They were at like 108 wins or something. But I always had the argument. At least with the Orioles, that team is so young. They haven't had the playoff
They're
experience.
inexperienced. That's why
Right.
they didn't make it as far as and they have. I'm going to say at least 7 or 8 years with that core. Same thing with Atlanta.
As
Atlanta
long
just did the Yankee thing of the '90s, signing their core.
Right. But Nick, I will add a caveat to that Orioles thing. As long as everything with arbitration and free agency, because Angelos is one of these cheap owners. So that at that point, if they because they have threatened, they did threaten at the end of last season, we may shake things up and trade some of these guys over the next couple of years because we don't want to pay the money.
They were threatening to leave Camden Yards.
Why the hell would you want to leave Camden Yards? That place is beautiful.
By the way, I think you've been there. I've been
Yes.
there. It's a fantastic stadium. By the way, especially if you walk behind where the stars are
On the warehouse.
on the warehouse, and I saw Boog's Barbecue. That's a cool place, by the way. If you like barbecue, um, but they gotta win. They gotta win like 3 World Series. Yeah, because and I understand the deferred money, and everyone's saying, "Oh, well, he's only going to make 20 million over the 10 years of the contract." Hello, you're forgetting about the other 680.
Right. Well, Nick, Ken Griffey Jr. is going to make more in 2024 than Shohei Ohtani.
Okay, but Ken Griffey Jr. is the highest paid player on the roster, and he doesn't even play baseball anymore for the Reds. That's the screwed up thing about deferred money. That we're pushing all this out, and no one cares.
Well, let's talk about. Well, first of all, I want to go to your point about Manfred basically ruining the game. But you know what? You have a contingency, a group of people who say that it's these kind of contracts that ruin the game because they're all afraid of what the prices at Dodger Stadium are going to look like now.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking to my parents and my brother about this too. Think about food prices. Think about parking. Think about even the average ticket at Dodger Stadium, which, by the way, up there with Yankee Stadium and Citi Field are probably the most expensive tickets in all of baseball. We're probably talking about what, a 30 to 40% increase in ticket prices at least.
I could very well see
and
it.
people are going to say, "Oh, it's the TV contracts will cover it." No, TV contracts can't cover $700 million.
Now, granted, a star like Ohtani, yeah, you're going to drag more people out and will be willing to pay that price. That said, it is a concern when we're talking about attendance figures, when we're talking about, what if Ohtani gets hurt and then less people are going to want to go to the games?
Duh. If he gets hurt, the Dodgers are fucked. And I can't imagine, because I think you and I had discussed this off air. What insurance can you get on a $700 million contract?
I would hope they have them. I would hope, this was the Nationals being the Nationals, but I would hope that lessons were learned from that Steven Strasburg contract, how it had no insurance on it.
But that was different. He had an injury history. Now, Shohei Ohtani does have a small injury history. Actually, I shouldn't say small. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. But $700 million is $700 million. How the hell do you insure a $700 million contract?
That beats me. Now, I think there's something we need to bring up, which was brought up actually. This is a little bit, again, as of the time we're recording this, probably not by the time it airs, but at the time we're recording this breaking news, there are actually there is a no trade clause. There are no outs this contract unless
Well, I don't know if there's a no trade. I just know that there's no opt outs.
there is a no trade clause. I just looked before.
Oh, okay. That's news to me. Okay.
Yeah, it was news to me today too.
But yes, you're talking about if the controlling partner, the owner, who I can't remember his name, or Andrew Freeman leave or sell the team, he's allowed to opt out of his contract with the Dodgers. Who the hell made that opt out up?
Nick, it's freaking unbelievable. All these little only for the greatest star that there is right now in baseball. And also considering that there's all these rumors out there that he may have used, well, I shouldn't say he, either his camp or his agent may have used the Blue Jays as a little bit of leverage.
Oh, you mean window dressing?
Yeah. And you have the Giants who were basically like, we were willing to do this deal and then some. And he just told the Dodgers.
And by the way, I need to, don't get mad at me when I say this. Shame on journalism, partially, because John Morosi is a jerk.
Again, I don't know if you can blame Morosi. I think
he reported it.
Again, do you think somebody in Ohtani's camp leaked it?
Okay, but here's the problem. They're saying that he never had a confirmation of what he was putting out.
Okay. If he didn't have a confirmation, then yeah, he could have addressed it a little better and said, I can't confirm this, but I'm hearing.
It wasn't even his plane. It was Robert Herjavec's plane.
I know. That was so bad. You're right. It was
that's my point. Like, they said that he went with, that's the theory that you and I talk about all the time. First, not accurate.
Which is why, I mean, credit to Morosi, because honestly, I think this is not a situation he should have credit for, but he's rarely wrong with things. And I'm glad at the very least, Nick, he didn't double down on it. He didn't become a meme like John Heyman did with Arson Judge.
So he didn't John Heyman himself.
Yeah.
And I think John Heyman was trolling people during the winter meetings.
Oh, of course he was.
He's an asshole.
The Yankees social media team trolled him.
I think the Dodgers did too. I think the Dodgers did also. I think the Giants did also, if I'm not mistaken. But
the John Heyman is a meme in itself at this point. But you know what?
Yeah.
Jeff Passan is a meme too. But Jeff Passan is all about, for all the crap that we give, and I think I said this on Saturday too, for all the crap that we give with ESPN about how they'll rarely ever say, this other reporter, this other outlet got it first. They'll just say sources tell ESPN. Jeff Passan, you never see this kind of controversies with. He is the accurate one.
Well, because he's usually first, if not second or first, on every story.
Right.
The reason people used to get mad at ESPN is because they didn't have the top source guys. Now they have Woj, they have Schafter, and they have Passan. The three top guys, probably insiders in all of the sport. I mean, Shams might debate Woj for who's first, but you practically have the top three guys now at ESPN, but they don't need to say according to sources because they get the stories first. Now, did they have a reputation back in the day of stealing stories from people? Yes.
I can say somewhat. They still somewhat do.
But Morosi was totally wrong, and it took the internet publicly shaming him to death to apologize. But the Blue Jays were never a factor. Can we just be real? He was never going to Toronto.
Well, I'll tell you what the next step I think is. What I think is, I think you're going to see the Blue Jays overpay for Cody Bellinger,
which is a mistake because he's nowhere near the player that Ohtani is.
And considering that Bellinger's coming off of a rebound season because after the Dodgers released him because he was an MVP and then he just nosedived.
So he Tom Petty, he's free falling.
Free. I'm not going to go that route because I don't want to get YouTube copyrighted.
Well, as long as we don't use the music. But
I guess so.
But it's, I don't know. I mean, are we surprised? I am a little surprised by the contract number because I told you.
Well, what did we say? 500 million, 550 million. I don't think we expected $700 million.
Right. And what did I forgot what I said to you? I said 450 because he was hurt.
Right. That
And he got 7.
We said he was going to get Aaron Judge style numbers, maybe a little more because of market, but for whatever reason he gets $700 million. And you're going to see guys like Bellinger kind of maybe try and up their offer. But Nick, in the words of what you talk about with Deshaun Watson, we can call this contract an outlier. Especially with all
that's
these
not even a
clauses and
question.
everything.
Not even a question. This is an outlier. Now, the difference between this outlier and that outlier, Shohei Ohtani is going to perform.
Right. This outlier earned his money.
And he'll actually perform.
Yes.
The other one, he's just a jerk off the field.
Well,
and he got hurt again.
Yeah. Injury prone and bit of a jerk.
By the way,
he's probably not even going to see this episode because he's blocked us.
Well, apparently I could see his accounts again from our socials, but me, he doesn't like me apparently, or I'm in it, or I'm in his head. I like that one better.
You live rent free in it.
Yeah, and by the way, Bob Nightingale, as of this recording, is reporting that the Yankees are the current favorites for Yamamoto.
All right. Well, then that just means that just means the Dodgers are going to make the trade.
Great, just freaking great. All right, let's move on. We have a lot to get to.
All right, let's talk about the as of this time breaking news. Draymond Green has been indefinitely suspended after he was basically punching Yusuf Nurkic, the Sun center, and I mean it looked, Nick, like he was trying to uppercut him. He was trying to do the toasty uppercut from Mortal Kombat. Exactly. He was trying to unleash the Hadouken. He was trying to crump like Marge Simpson.
I mean, you can't make this up. Now, for people who didn't see it, the Warriors played the Suns on Tuesday night, and Draymond basically decided to do a roundhouse, except it wasn't with his foot. It was with his hand. Like full open hand, basically. He was
like he was motioning or moving around a little bit, almost as if he was trying to, play off and flop that he was getting pushed. I mean, did he get pushed? Yeah, but it was like complete overselling. And then he turns around out of nowhere and just, wow!
You can't win. And here's the problem.
Flagrant 2, by the way, just to give the foreground, Flagrant 2, ejected from the game, and now it's an indefinite suspension.
Now, I watched the video quite a few times. Some of his aggressiveness is sometimes just flailing arms, and it looks worse than it does. Again, it's a little tough with this one. It does look like he flails his arms because he's trying to create space. But because of his reputation, he's not going to win.
Yeah, no. Nick, wasn't it just last season there was a whole off-the-court conflict within the Warriors? It
was the off-season
between him and Poole?
That was before he got traded to the Wizards.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but Jordan Poole was being a jerk, too.
Yeah,
not that I'm saying that Draymond Green is warranted.
Right, I was gonna say, but as you kind of alluded, Draymond Green has had a reputation that follows him.
And that's the problem, that he's got such a shitty reputation when it comes to the league that anything he does going forward is going to either be fined or suspended. Now, on top of it, if you're watching on the video right now, it says indefinitely. We didn't flub that.
No, that means it could be one game. It could be 5 games.
The season.
Could be the season. Could stretch into next year. We don't know. It's whenever. Okay, so what it is. It's whenever this is an add-on report from Shams. He's going to receive counseling while he's suspended. He's going to work with the team, and he has to meet a specific criteria before a return to play. What that criteria entails,
nobody knows.
As of this point, as of our recording at this point,
it's the $1 billion question that no one has the answer to, and we all know Draymond's reputation as an aggressor, someone who's a loudmouth doesn't stop running his mouth. I wish someone would put a fist in it and shut it because I'm so tired of hearing it.
This time he put a fist in somebody else's mouth.
Well, true, but it almost looked, and you would know this better than me, but it was a little like WWE, the hit.
It was very, like I said, they were being very over the top a little bit.
And you know what? How many strikes are you going to get? He's had more than 3 strikes and you're out. Like, he's like 7 striketh over. Like,
well, that's why we have the fact that he's indefinitely suspended, although Nick, he's gonna still be allowed to practice with the team.
Yeah, that one makes no sense. There's a few things we got to discuss here. One is the indefinite suspension when Ja Morant got 25 games for having a gun twice. Draymond Green, not saying what Draymond Green did was right by any means, but he didn't have a gun.
Yeah, and also considering the fact, I think we talked about this with when that news broke last year. Pardon me, earlier this year. We were making the comparisons with the Gilbert Arena stuff.
Well, okay, there's a little bit of difference there because that was Crittenton and Arenas, who are both bad guys. And they were gambling. They were illegally gambling in the locker room before all the gambling companies were involved.
Fair enough. But my point being that how can we, not saying that Draymond Green didn't deserve to get indefinitely suspended, but then you just throw a 25-game ban for Ja Morant. But remember, the team, Nick, we just talked about this recently, that the team had to basically make the first move.
Well, in this case, the NBA made the first move because they know his reputation. That's why they were able to step in. And you really think the Warriors were going to give him a long suspension? No, of course not.
And look, like we just said, he's still allowed to be with the team and practice with the team. Of course, the Warriors aren't going to do anything
because this might be a little bit of a bad comparison, but he reminds me of Dennis Rodman on the Bad Boy Bulls, like with Jordan and Pippen and when those teams were when Rodman kicked the cameraman or like when he did all these horrible things. But what happened? Dennis Rodman was always allowed back because he was the sentimental leader besides Michael Jordan. He was the aggressor. Now, 90s, late 80s, early 90s basketball was a lot different than today because if you sneeze on someone today, they're going to call a technical foul and get ejected. But Draymond knows, knows that he's got a reputation. He knows that if he keeps doing this, he's going to be out of the league. And people, I read to you on social media jokingly, someone said, I can't wait for the next episode of the Draymond Green podcast. And I'm
he can't say, he's either going to have to have no comment or he's going to have to say sorry. If he tries to double down and try to play the victim card, it's not going to go well for him.
I'm telling you right now, he will figure it out at some point. Or the Warriors I've probably already said to him, you better keep that freaking microphone off and don't say a damn thing.
Otherwise, you know where he could end up?
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao! Ni hao!
That's not a surprise. I like Draymond Green as a player, not as a person. He is a team guy that can bring a team together. His ego, his attitude, and his life as a human being, I don't like. Something just rubs you the wrong way when you try to like him as a person. You just can't. Great basketball player. Great defender. He can score a little bit. But I can't believe they gave him another $100 million contract. He wasn't worth that.
I can't believe. I don't know how they're going to make it work. I think I even said this when they gave Green the contract. How are they going to make it work with Klay Thompson? If they're not, I can't believe they're choosing Green over Klay Thompson.
You don't realize they're like $100 million plus.
I know what you. I know.
Over.
We talked about this. I'm just saying, if coming off as it's true, I can't believe they're picking him over Klay Thompson. That's not right in my eyes.
And it's going to be tougher because there's going to be a market. 31 other teams are going to want Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Obviously, they want the emotional leader and not the statistical playmaker, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. But that's how the Warriors have won. Draymond Green being the emotional leader, Steph Curry being the leader, and they're going to do what they want. But I can't defend Draymond here at all. There's no defense.
There is none.
He has to get counseling. They're not going to let him back in. It's the same that with Morant. That's similar. That's the same thing. They said, "Hey, you better go get yourself right before you come back. Otherwise, you're not coming back." And that's the issue at hand. Now, I'll be curious to see if they announce a suspension once he goes through all this. But if I'm the Warriors and I'm the NBA, sayonara till next season. I would just sit him out.
Again, it's tough to do that when John Morant only gets 25 games, but to that, I can just say...
Yeah, again, not a surprise. When Morant gets 25 and Draymond gets indefinite. I told you, do you remember the comparison I made to the indefinite suspension?
Yeah.
The Malice at the Palace. Now, that technically wasn't a indefinite suspension. That was a full season suspension because of Ron Artest going into the stands and punching somebody out.
I was going to say the difference is that actually fight between players and fans that got out of control, that went beyond the courts.
True, but players need to compose themselves. They make a lot of money. They hit the lottery playing in professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do this stuff and expect to have a reputation in place.
They gotta control their emotions. Almost as if they gotta be emotionless like one Bill Belichick. Oh! Well, I think that's a good transition point.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So, as I alluded to at the top of the show, I mean, Tom Curran of Sports Boston is a very credible individual, very credible journalist.
Very much so.
And it's NBC Sports, a very credible outlet. So they are reporting that the Patriots have already decided that this will be the final season with Bill Belichick at the helm. Apparently, according to from Tom, Pat's owner Robert Kraft made the decision after the Week 10 loss. They were playing the Colts in Germany. The Colts, remember that was a terrible game, but the Colts end up pulling the upset over the Pats. And apparently at that point, Kraft said he was done. So is there a confirmation? No. And, we don't have anything we're obviously not going to get anything from the team as of this point when it's still December, but it very well appears, Nick, like we've debated about this on Football Friday. We have debated about this on the show. We got this off camera in our own little conversations outside the podcast world. But now it's like when there's smoke, there's fire, and it's becoming more and more. Again, I don't want to say clear because I don't want to say that this is actually happening, but the inevitability comes stronger and stronger that this seems to. You wouldn't think it would be it because why would Bill Belichick want to go out on a season like this? But it appears to be almost a reality now.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to you before we started that 20 seasons, 20 plus seasons, 6 rings, a ton of playoff runs, a dynasty, him and Tom Brady. He doesn't have to prove himself anymore. He won 6 rings. That's more than enough to prove to a fan base that you did everything you needed. The only reason he lasted as long as he did is because of the 6 rings and because of the playoff runs. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here anymore.
You're right. And I'll be honest, this is a fireable kind of season. We have seen head coaches fired for these kinds of seasons. But as you kind of alluded to, he's won Super Bowls. He and Tom Brady. Now, we can have this debate again about would Bill Belichick have had the same kind of success if have Tom Brady. But the point is, he is one of the most winningest coaches in NFL history. He is one of the most successful head coaches in NFL history. Whether it's because of Brady or not, they're in the record books. He is in the record books. And It's going to be very hard to replicate the kind of success that Belichick and Brady had. I mean, look at the Mahomes and Reed combination, Nick. They've made it to a few Super Bowls, but they've only got 2 rings out of it so far.
Right. And when you look at, by the way, now that the way I look when Tom Brady retired, obviously won a Super Bowl in Tampa, Tom Brady had more value than Bill Belichick. It's just proven as a fact.
Right. I've talked about it. But you know what? But the counter argument you'll make to that is that Tom Brady's last season with Tampa Bay was a losing season, which he never really had under Belichick. So
Now, the
you
one,
can. I think Brady wore the pants in the relationship, but
oh yeah, not even a
but
question.
but I don't think one has success without the other. If you know what I mean.
Yes, they're a symbiotic relationship in a sense. Um, what I was going to say was, imagine if he went out and got like a Kirk Cousins when he was a free agent or traded. But they were up there as one of the teams that could have traded for Kirk Cousins. Imagine
I
if
am
he had a Kirk Cousins and where they would be.
I am surprised that during this last offseason, the Patriots didn't make a move for any of these veteran quarterbacks, especially we were considering the status of Mac Jones heading into the season, and now been benched.
By the way, that division, you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks getting cut in that division. Between, I don't think Zach Wilson is going to be back. I obviously
Mac,
Mac Jones.
I don't think Mac's going to be back. I think I think I could see Mac Jones, Wilson both being either cut or traded for like a 6th, 7th round pick.
I see the Patriots clearing out the quarterback room, to be honest, and starting
Yeah.
over.
Well, I think the Patriots, they're going to have the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th pick in this
Oh, so
draft.
they could probably get either a
One of
Caleb
those
Williams
quarterbacks,
or
Caleb,
Bo
May,
Nix,
Bo Nix. They're going to get somebody.
which I'm sure Belichick is probably going to be kicking himself considering. But now we still don't know who made the decision. Still,
And
there's reports.
we don't know because we just talked about the thing with Morosi. We don't know. I'm not going to know because journalism being journalism, but who probably would have leaked this because I can't see, especially considering Nick, the Pats are coming off of a very shocking win over the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. They actually managed to get a win over the season. I can't see Kraft, putting out free and embarrassing Belichick after for a season that has had very few successes after a successful week doing something like this.
You know what this is, and I think you and I started talking about this. I feel like because they know the ship is sinking, like the whole organization knows the ship is sinking, they just don't give a shit. They're just literally saying, "We're all out anyway. We might as well just leak it that he's leaving."
Yeah,
Essentially.
at this point, it's basically, like we talk about, burn it down, all down. Because if Belichick isn't staying, that means, as you kind of alluded to, that's why I kind of agree with you. If Belichick's not staying, they're clearing that quarterback room out. If Belichick's not staying, this thing is going into total rebuild mode.
Well, regardless if he stayed or not, I think the quarterback room would have been cleared out because just
but my point is,
Zappy and Jones can't win.
But my point is, you can't believe you're saying it after, it was just 5 years ago they beat the Rams in that Super Bowl. So that was a stretch where they were in 3 Super Bowls in a row and won 2 of them. The Rams and then before that upsetting the Falcons. That big comeback and then in the middle, of course, losing in upset fashion to the Eagles. But you think about that stretch and you think about the dynasty. And then, they say all good things have to come to an end. But this thing came to an end, nosedive kind of quickly. And already, like I said, 5 years ago, they were a Super Bowl team. And now you're looking at complete rebuild.
And you know what? Pats fans are probably like shocked, confused, like because they're so used to all that winning they did over the 20-year stretch that it's not Tom Brady anymore. People got to get out of the past and look into the future, and it's not too bright right now.
Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, really. I mean, and by the way, I'm kind of shocked that it leaked that it happened right after Germany, which is of all places, that's kind of a weird place for that news to break out or be decided. But
I mean, if this report is true, I'd be very curious to see a Robert Kraft press conference in the offseason to talk about the decision that went into this. I mean, all that went in the decision.
But here's the difference, though. The two guys are not going to insult each other through the media. They just don't. That's not their attitude. Like, that's the difference.
Nick, you saw the responses today, right?
Yeah.
We're focused. We're focused right now on Kansas City. We're moving on to Kansas City.
And you know what? That's part of Bill's problem too, that he's not willing to address anything that goes on. Like, it's bad news. Like, you got to be able to address some stuff.
Moving on to Kansas City.
It's so spot on too. Basically, that's what he did for the whole press conference. It's all the only words he said. He was beast mode during the press conference.
It is the new "I'm here, so I won't get fined."
Now there are rumors that he could end up with another organization, which is probably going to happen.
I mean, the listeners, if Brandon Staley gets fired, which, considering a story we're going to try and get to in these last 20 minutes, it's inevitable in my opinion. They are talking about the potential that he could take the Chargers job.
I mean, I even heard rumors, even though he signed a contract with Michigan, that Jim Harbaugh is still a name out there that's being floated.
For the Pats job?
No, for Chargers.
Yeah, but I mean, if they, I don't know, if they win the Natty, if they somehow beat Alabama and they win the Natty, do you think that makes him more likely to leave?
I don't know. It depends on the money. It depends on the years. It depends on what is out there. Like, if the Chargers came to Jim Harbaugh and said, we'll give you 6 years and we'll give you, I don't know, 15 to 17 million a year. He's going to say, adios, Michigan, I'm out of here. And I get to run a football team, an NFL team again?
Yeah. All right. Since I mentioned Kansas City, because that will be the opponent for New England this week, let's talk about a little on the field antics. So, big game week with the Chiefs and the Bills. And Travis Kelce pulls off one of the most unbelievable plays.
Historic.
Absolutely historic. Pat Mahomes throws it to Kelce, and then Kelce throws it as a means of scoring a touchdown. And it's in the last minute of the game, and everyone's going nuts. Flag on the play. Offsides. And look who's standing over the neutral zone. None other than one former Giants draft pick, Kadarius Toney.
Again, we're not really surprised. And by the way, this is what the fans were thinking.
You suck.
I mean,
you're welcome.
I mean, well, Giants fans were laughing all the way home seeing that.
Like I told you, yeah, maybe Tony got that one catch at the Super Bowl, helped you win that Super Bowl, but we warned you. We warned you about him being a head case. We warned about you and his lack of talent.
And by the way, this whole bullshit that they're trying to say that the referees are supposed to... The referees don't need to warn you. This is not Pee-wee football. This is the NFL.
Right. So, listen. And I forget where I saw this. It must have been with some Sports Illustrated reporter or something. But I saw a little conversation that was going on between I was reading a conversation between a referee, somebody from the referee organization, and a journalist. And the idea is the referee can give warnings. The referee, if the player asks, the referee can give advice before making any sort of call. However, as you kind of alluded to, they're not required to give any sort of warning.
And by the way, when you look... Okay.
Sorry, but I think you might have been going in this direction. The fact that it's an offsides on the offense. How often does that happen?
Less than 1%. And that's not hyperbole. That's a stat that came out after the game. Andy Reid's teams are like 0.0003% have gone offsides on the offense. Think about that. And when you look at the line on the field, which has been a picture and a meme for quite a few days, his foot is on the blue line. Now, I know it's the TV line, and people say, well, it's not 100% accurate, which is true. You can't put the exact spot on TV. But he's not even behind it. He's over the football. Mm-hmm. Over the center, over the football. And I think I asked you this question the other night. if he was 2 steps back, you're telling me the same play wouldn't have happened?
I think it still would have happened.
Duh! I don't know. It's not like he was cheating for a step. The ball wasn't going to him.
But what baffles me is the emotional response that came
Oh
from
my
Pat
God.
Mahomes and Andy Reid at that press conference. And it's like, we were just talking, Nick, in the Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl in February, that there was a controversial call that wasn't made. And we said, you know what? It's the Super Bowl, it's close competitive games. At some point, you just let it play on. We were actually defending it, but we said if the call was made, we wouldn't have blamed it because it was still
It could have
the call.
gone either way,
Right, it
essentially,
was
is
a
what we're
referee
saying.
discretion. And the same thing can apply here, especially considering how the Chiefs are fighting for a top seed in the division at this point because their division is not secure. At this point, Nick, the goddamn Broncos are on their trail.
All right, I was going to save this for Football Friday, but I'll say it anyway. I took a freaking $10 future on the Broncos because the Chiefs are playing shitty football right now.
You did what?
Yes, I took a $10 future on Broncos Country. Let's ride. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I was
On
gonna
the
say,
division.
all I was gonna say, it's a game between the Chiefs who need the win and the Bills who probably need the win more, considering that if they had lost, they would have been under 500.
They would have been
and
out.
Probably look on the outside looking in with the playoff run.
No. They would have basically been out. There was no path for them if they lost.
You see, Nick, we just talked about how closely competitive that AFC wild card is. It's like filled with 7-5, 6-7, 6-6 teams. Like it's so competitive. It's so close.
I mean,
one
we
another.
saw a statistic. What was it? 20.
30 of the
Oh.
only two teams that are out as we enter week 15 are the Panthers and the Patriots. All the other 30 teams are still alive.
That's crazy. Great. I mean, it's great. It's competitive football, and we don't have to watch 5 dud teams, basically spoil playoff teams. But wow, the amount of teams competing. But this whole thing with Patrick Mahomes not control again, going back to player composure, not controlling himself. And then did you see the video that leaked of Patrick Mahomes going to the handshake with Josh Allen?
Yeah. And I feel bad for Josh Allen. What the hell can you say in that kind of situation?
Because he basically said, "What a bleeping call, effing call," and bro, you can't do that. You lost the game. You're gonna go complain to the other quarterback?
Yeah, no, that's completely messed up.
And Andy Reid is completely out of line, basically calling the referees an embarrassment.
I lost respect for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I haven't lost all of it, but this one was a blow. Especially like we just said, how we can count, Nick. And I think some people on social media have posted little threads and stuff of the number of times that the Chiefs have gotten away with certain calls. I mean,
it's true. So they get the calls, and now they're bitching because they're not getting the calls that they think they deserve. It's you can't eat your cake, or what's that them saying? You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You want me soda, Jinx?
Yeah, you can't. Whatever. My point is that you can't have that. You can't have it both ways. You can't win, and then when you lose, you can't be a sore loser. Yeah. Then he goes on 610 KC, an Odyssey channel in Kansas City, I think, which has the rights to the games on the radio, and basically says, "Oh, he did the walk back," which is what every athlete does when they do something stupid. Oh, well, my emotions got the best of me. I was out of character. Gee, Patrick, you think? You weren't out of... Your composure was off? No! The whole world could have seen it.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that the Chiefs basically scratching the bottom of the barrel with receivers, I would say it's time to cut Kadarius Toney. But Nick, at the rate that the Chiefs are playing, like I told you, and I'll say it again on Football Friday, if like if we did a 2020 playoffs and we had a Chiefs matchup, I would take the Browns to upset the Chiefs right now.
That's bold, but I don't say you're wrong though. But that's bold, considering when's the last time the Browns won a playoff game?
Well, they beat the Steelers in that 2020 2021.
Oh wait, was that the beer coolers that were unlocked and all that nonsense?
Yes. No. Wait. No, that was when they went winless, and then they beat the Jets in 2018. It was in Baker's first season. It was Baker's first game, I think.
Oh, I thought that was when they won a playoff game. Okay, maybe I'm getting confused. But
that's when. No, remember that's when first play of the game they picked off Ben Roethlisberger and
yes, that's it.
And they just completely destroyed Pittsburgh.
But long story short, you can't act like this. And there is a lot of analysts basically going around the league saying they should get fined. They should get in trouble for the way they acted.
Good.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's Patrick Mahomes. No one does anything to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is like LeBron James, where he could do the dumbest thing in the entire league and he won't get in trouble for it.
Little quarterback carousel we got going on. Joshua has been benched. Got benched mid-game. A 0-0 game that they and the Raiders were playing in favor of Nick Mullens. And the Vikings are able to come away with a 3-0 victory.
A lot of low-scoring games the past couple of weeks. The 6-0 Patriot Chargers over the Patriots. The reason he got benched was not because of now. The reason he finally got benched was because of the 4 picks against Chicago.
Yeah, Joshua Dobbs was great. He definitely did stuff, he definitely, when the Arizona people were doubting them, he definitely put in a solid effort there. Ended up getting another opportunity once Kirk Cousins went down. Got the trade over to Minnesota, and he put in a strong effort. But like you said, too many picks, just too many picks, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be really curious to see what the Vikings do because they're playing well. They're gonna be a wild card team, but that's gonna take them out of contention for, as I alluded to, one of these 5 or 6 young great quarterbacks that are coming out of this draft class.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Dobbs is what I would like to call a serviceable quarterback. I wouldn't say he's a great quarterback or a good quarterback. He's serviceable.
Now, going back to what you were talking about the AFC East and a lot of quarterbacks being dumped there, if I'm the Pats or even if I'm the Jets, even with Aaron Rodgers coming back, because what this Jets season, Nick, has told me, with Wilson's up and downs, again, they needed to sign a serviceable backup quarterback. And I think here, Nick, you're going to have you and your Jets are going to have an opportunity with Josh Dobbs on free agency.
Right. And I don't know what the Jets are going to do. It's going to be an interesting situation when it comes to that quarterback situation. Zach Wilson is out. I don't care. And again, I was going to say this for Football Friday. I'll do it quickly. That performance against the Texans proved nothing. It proved absolutely nothing. Good. Zach Wilson threw 300 yards for one game. And I'm supposed to care why?
Hey, the Jets are still alive.
Yeah, so are the Giants. Yeah. So are chicken cutlets.
Tommy DeVito, Zach Wilson, players of the week.
Move on before I get angry. And we're not even at the story yet.
Hey, like I told you though, and I want to do it here because I don't know if I'll do it on Football Friday, but I said it to you off air, and I gotta say it again. Tommy DeVito, Anthony Volpe. We got to get that combination going. The chicken cutlets and the chicken parm.
Great.
Great. Meanwhile, remember that list I read to you about all the quarterback injuries we've had this year? We can add another one now. Justin Herbert, done for the season, is because of the broken bone in his finger.
And all the failure.
I mean, it's just been a terrible year. Bye-bye, Brandon Staley. It was great. See you later. And when I mean great, I mean awful.
See you never again. Well, some NFL hire him, unfortunately.
He'll probably end up as like a consultant to a team somewhere because that's where all bad coaches go to die. But Chargers are the best, like the most valued, worst team in the NFL.
They could be so much better. They could honestly be much better.
it's insane the amount of BS that goes on in this organization. Now you're hearing guys like Jim Harbaugh, who could be the head coach, or you're hearing who's the other one they were talking about? Belichick. By the way, that would be insane if Belichick had Herbert. That and Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen, and can you imagine Bill Belichick like in that scheme with a healthy team? That'd be insane. But it is what it is. Easton Stick will start in the place of Justin Herbert.
Wait, before we get there, I think there's just one last thing that I gotta say. We don't have this soundbite but you know what? I'm pulling this up. It's a class from our old friend Schlosser, Urinating Tree.
Fuck you, Spanos.
Oh my god.
So there's an oldie but goodie.
Yeah, really. I mean, the Chargers
All
are a dumpster fire.
All right, yeah, let's talk about Thursday Night Football. So, Nick, extra, no Justin Herbert, no Keenan Allen, potentially no Devontae Adams, potentially Aiden O'Connell might get benched for Brian Hoyer or Jimmy G.
No Josh Jacobs, possibly.
Potentially no Josh Jacobs. So either, Nick, we're going to have a bunch of who are going to play and haven't practiced all week, or we're going to have a bunch of guys that just haven't, are just not going to play.
Hey, I think they reached into the bargain bin for some players. Well, and also maybe no Max Crosby either. This is, I don't feel bad for Amazon because Amazon deprived people of Thursday Night Football.
I know, but yes, you get this game thinking you're going to get all these names, and nope.
I wouldn't say it was a great game, even if all those guys were playing.
Great game, considering they're both one loss away from a losing record. Two teams that are competing against one another, and it would just be really sad, Nick, if the Raiders won this game and we're ahead in the standings, above the Chargers. And you know what? It's a realistic possibility, especially with Herbert not playing.
It's not a good game. I'm going to say my classic line, which you know what I'm going to say now. Degenerate gamblers, this game is for you. Because I would stay far away, and I'm looking up.
Honestly, if you have something better to do on this Thursday night, just do that.
Hey, if you haven't hung the Christmas decorations or any holiday decorations, or you're getting ready for New Year's early, or
if you celebrate Hanukkah, spend the last night of Hanukkah with your family. Yeah, you don't need to. Don't watch this.
Don't watch this. It's not good. So it's right now. Currently, it's over under 34.5. Something tells me that number will get hit one way or the other.
It does.
It just seems too low.
Yeah, I mean, we were laughing about that game, with the 30 point. Yeah, it was the Steelers Pats last week. That was like the over under was 30, and they hit
that one hit. I think
pretty easily. That being said, just because of all the crap that's going on with the Chargers and Easton Stick, what is this, baseball? Yeah.
Backyard baseball.
I think if I played baseball while this game is on, I'd be more entertained by the backyard baseball.
Can we just do an automated simulation using backyard baseball or basketball or backyard football?
There's a backyard football. We could do a simulation with backyard football.
I'd rather have that instead. At least it'd be more entertaining. I could use power-ups to cheat.
That being said, you know what? Just because Justin Herbert is not playing, no Herbert, no Keenan Allen. Mike Williams has been injured all season. Austin Eckler is now splitting carries with Joshua Kelly. Yeah, this Charger team is a complete dumpster fire. The defense was already a dumpster fire. Nick, I'm going to go with the Spider 2-1, man. Give me the Raiders. Take the money.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming. Again, Degenerate Gamblers Anonymous is calling for this game. Easton Stick versus question mark on the other side of the field. No one. I mean, if Jimmy G starts, I think they win this game. That's not a question.
What about Aiden? I don't think Aiden. He hasn't done terrible.
I wouldn't say Aiden is great, but who the hell is Easton Stick? Like
that's my point.
But They still should have Austin Eckler because I didn't see his name on the injury report. If they don't have Josh Jacobs, if they have Austin Eckler, they're going to run more, which is obviously going to force the Raiders to press the box even more. But if they don't have Devontae Adams, that's a big problem too. What's their wide receiver? What's their wide receiver core if they don't have Devontae Adams? It's nobody.
I mean, they have Hunter Renfrow.
Who's not bad, but you know what? I'm taking the Raiders, but it's a total crapshoot, and I'm expecting to lose it. So I'll just take it.
I don't think anybody really cares about this game anyway. Two quick headlines I want before we get going. NBC has announced that Al Michaels won't be involved with the NFL playoffs. That even when they do the exclusive Peacock game, he's not going to be involved. The NBC game, not going to be involved.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think this is finally his mouth catching up with NBC, finally saying, we've watched your performance on Amazon. Now, I said this to you. Most people are not going to know this. Who's the production team that produces Amazon's Thursday Night Football games? NBC. Same producer, same production. They get firsthand look at all this.
But I guess they're gonna go. But I guess since Al Michaels is not on their A team anymore, they're just gonna go with their normal A team.
Well, they're putting Noah Eagle in to call a game. Noah Eagle over Al Michaels? Really?
I wonder.
I want to know if this is the NFL's call or if this was NBC's call.
I wonder if they'll have Noah Eagle do the part of the NBC production, and then help out Nickelodeon with the Super Bowl broadcast on Nickelodeon.
Don't get me wrong. Noah Eagle is going to be one of the big names in the near future. He was doing Clipper games for the radio. He got hired recently by the Yes Network, actually. So now father like son working at the Yes Network.
And like I said, he is the lead commentator, or at least was, for the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Christmas and playoff games.
I think he was doing Notre Dame games at one point.
Yeah, he did Notre Dame games too.
Like he's a very versatile play-by-play announcer by far. It obviously not too far from the tree there. Probably one of the best to ever do it. Ian Eagle. This is not a surprise, but having the NFL playoffs and not having Al Michaels is a little bit of travesty. A little bit, in my opinion.
I guess, like you said, they're kind of afraid that the game ends up in a blowout. It's like, oh well, what else can we talk about?
Let's get people mad at their gambling losses or
which I found funny.
That was funny.
I like unfiltered Al Michaels.
Well, I guess you could do that more on Amazon. You really can't do that on NBC.
So. Or Peacock, for that matter.
Can't even do it on Peacock either, because technically they could take that as TV feed. But I don't know. It is what it is.
All right. Now I want to end this show by making you mad. Lakers, the first ever NBA Cup is over, and the Los Angeles Lakers come out on top with your MVP being LeBron James.
You suck.
LeBron James.
You suck. You suck.
Who cares? It's a freaking NBA Cup, and they're treating it like they won the NBA title.
They're gonna raise a banner.
They're gonna raise a banner. They had champagne in the locker room. They're gonna have a banner raising ceremony. LeBron, it's not a title. It's not a title.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, don't go with your complaints to LeBron, because the NBA is like one. And considering 4+ million people watched it, the most watched NBA game in
that's non-Christmas.
That's non-Christmas in 6 or 7 years.
6 years, yeah.
Dick, you know what Adam Silver's saying? Oh boy, we get to do this again.
No, I'll tell you what Adam Silver is saying.
He's dancing in the money, Mr. Silver.
Instead of dancing in the rain, it's dancing in the money.
Mm-hmm.
I
He's so happy, and that means more from him. He's taking it like a present from Santa Claus.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'm gonna go shove a pile of coal in his stocking. But Paul Lombardi, who does 3 and D on our network, like him and I were talking about this. We're the two big NBA nerds on this network. That we didn't understand the tournament when it first was brought up and inaugurated and put into play during the middle of the season, which screwed up all the regular season schedules. And no one understood the format. The courts were fucking ugly. Ugly.
boy.
The blue courts, the yellow courts, the red courts. It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. And no one understood, like, is this a regular season game? Does it count as a tournament game? Does it not? Is it this? Is it...
Everything counts for the regular season except the championship game.
It's so dumb. And they had and of course they had to throw Vegas in there on top of that for the final game. Because what is a game without going to Vegas?
You know this is leading to the NBA making its 31st team in Las Vegas, right?
Oh no. I'm surprised that they're the last one that doesn't have it yet. I thought they were going to be one of the first. Because they're in bed with the gambling companies like MLB and NHL. I found it kind of interesting that the NHL was the first one to have a Vegas team.
Especially when you consider before all this legalized gambling stuff, Nick. The NBA had a history with Vegas. The Thomas and Mack Center in Vegas hosted All-Star weekends in the past.
Quite a few of them, not just one. Like, that's where they were going at one point. They just said, all right, neutral site, going to Vegas.
Right, and it looked like an inevitability, like you said, that they were going to be the first to get a Vegas team, but they weren't.
And I could see Thomas and Mack Center becoming the home of a team at some point.
What about the T-Mobile Arena, though? That's where the Golden Knights play. It's a more modern arena.
Well, do they usually combine NFL with NBA? I don't know if they usually do that.
NBA and NHL, yeah.
Oh,
I could
I'm
see.
talking about NBA, but yeah.
The Thomas and Mack Center would be more like for college, which I think they still do use it for college.
They do. I think they use it for March Madness as a neutral site. If they go to Vegas, I don't remember if they go to Vegas.
I think one of the tournaments has to be there, or a regular season tournament for the NCAA. Well, no, it's Classics is there.
But LeBron's got to shut the fuck up and stop with this nonsense. I want an NBA Cup, and you know what? People say, "Well, he's first to everything." Okay, so what? You were first to everything. Big deal. You want us to clap? Is that what you want us to do? Like, are you looking for like a medal or a cookie here?
Oh,
like,
hold on, I can provide that for him.
I mean, and the funny part is, Anthony Davis had 41 points and 20 rebounds. Do that in the NBA playoffs or the finals. Don't do it in an NBA Cup final.
But at least they get all the money, Nick.
Yes, because LeBron needs another $500,000.
I know.
Or Anthony Davis needs another $500,000. They said there were like 3 or 4 guys on the roster where it doubled their salary for the year.
Lucky them.
Think about that, though. Oh, I made around the minimum, $500,000. Oh, we won. I get to double my salary. Woo! LeBron, I don't think he cares.
Take a breath. Let's give a cheer for us now. Because that is the end of Empty the Bench in 2023. Did it.
Holy cow. We did it.
All right. Let's do a little housekeeping. So, he said this is the last live edition of Empty the Bench for 2023. Next couple of weeks, we're going to have our little best ofs like we did last year, looking back at some of the biggest headlines and some of our most popular social media, or at least X, or Twitter, as you put it, clips for 2023. So we'll do the first half of the year next on December 21st and the second half of the year, which will probably be a lot of what we talked about over the last couple of weeks.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some funny moments in the first half, including me falling off a chair. But, and Aaron Rodgers moments.
I'm saying December 28th, the second half. Well, I guess now the last couple of weeks, how everything has blown up, it's going to be a lot of what we've talked about here.
The last episode never disappoints. There's always it finds its way in where it's not supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, consider the fact that I know I don't want to put it. I don't want to try and adjust myself because spoiler alert for those who say, you'll see me wearing the normal. I mean, like these little bud earphones in the first part because we wore the Santa hats in the first part, and these headphones actually broke I had to get
That
another
sounds about
player.
right.
That's the network for you. So yeah, we're gonna have our best ofs for the next couple of weeks. Normal time slots. It'll still be Thursdays, still be Eastern. So you'll still catch us at our normal times for the best ofs. And then our first show back will be on Thursday, January 4th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
Yeah, we'll put out some announcements because we have some shows changing around a little bit. We'll make an announcement video. There's a lot of
We'll
stuff.
make an announcement video. This is gonna go out a little early. You'll see. We're gonna determine an outsiders like best of schedule. Myself and Sam Bando. Oh, football Friday tomorrow. Tomorrow will be its normal time. Next couple of weeks, since most of the ETB shows are going on break, football Friday next 2 weeks will be coming out on Friday, so we can include the Thursday night footballs for each of week 16 and week 17.
Yeah, and you have all the Saturday games and all that stuff. So we just want to get it out there a little bit sooner. So yeah, we have all that. We have all the best ofs for all the other shows.
December 30th is our next live stream. Going to be Monday Night Football and Saturday night because they can't do Monday Night Football that in week 17 because New Year's Day they're going to be doing all the college games.
Hi, Jerry.
Yeah, we got the Cowboys.
God, it's going to be an
We're gonna have
interesting night.
another fun game though. Cowboys Lions, 2 playoff teams.
Is that game going to even mean anything by the time we get to it?
Well, it might for seeding purposes.
You might be right, but
and we'll see if the Lions have clinched the North by that point, or if the Vikings are on the Lions trail.
it's a good point. I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope the Lions win that game because I just don't want to see the Cowboys gloating like you know what. And
Shut
ESPN.
the hell up, Morgasen.
I don't need ESPN talking about the Cowboys for 12 hours a day.
Well, you're gonna talk about the Cowboys for at least 4 hours when we're broadcasting that game.
Ay, ay, ay. Of course, it begins with Jerry and it ends with Jerry. That's about right.
Cowboy.
But make sure you follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at ETB Sports for this show. Follow our network at the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/ETB Network. Over 650 subscribers. Please, please, please hit that button. We're trying to get to 1,000. That's going to help our channel expand and grow. That'll allow us to have some monetization and allow us to do some more things. So please hit that subscribe button. Also, our website, etbpodcast.com. More blogs are starting to go up again. Brody Sorbera did a great story on the Cashman situation with Juan Soto on the Yankees cashing in. That was not me, I swear. That was not me. So that was Brody's title, not mine. So I guess that'll basically do it. So for Albano, I'm Nick Morgasen. What date are we back again?
Thursday, January 4th.
All right, so we will see everybody for the next, I think it's 2/14 on Thursday, January 4th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody, and have a good holiday and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Happy Festivus, Happy all of the holidays, and we will see you in 2024.
Good night, everybody.